Hello, it's James and I'm back in the shop again. It's a beautiful Colorado day. It's 70 degrees outside in the middle of April. Kind of hard to believe. Today we're going to do something a little different. I have this beautiful piece of cherry. I'm going to cut off 16 inches and plane it down and put it on the CNC machine, and we're going to design and make a cribbage board. So stay tuned. So we've got this beautiful piece of cherry, and we're going to clamp it down to the CNC machine, and then we're going to cut an oval cribbage board. I haven't decided the design yet because we're going to go inside and design that in the Aspire software. So stay tuned for that. Okay guys, like I said, we're going to be making a cribbage board, and to do that we open Aspire and we create a new file. We're going to do in width, we're going to go 11, and in height we're going to do 16, that's correct, and we're going to do an inch thick because I'm going to be using 5/4 cherry, and we'll plane it down and get it down to an inch thick. Now for this particular job I'm going to leave Z at the material surface, but I want my center to be in the center of the board. Normally I have it down here in the lower left, but for the oval kinds of boards the center works better for me. So we'll go ahead and create that. So there is our material, and we're going to put a ellipse on there, and we're going to use the center of the board at 0, 0, and the width is going to be 10.5 and the height is going to be 15.5, and we will go ahead and create that. That'll be the profile of the board that we'll be cutting off. So we're going to zoom in up here because we're going to start putting the peg holes in, but to do that I need a vector to align the holes along. So I am going to offset that outer vector inward 3/4 of an inch, and we have this vector now. And then I need some small circles, 1/8 of an inch, to drill holes. So we're going to create right about here. Whoops, I didn't mean to create. We're going to make a small circle that's 1/8 of an inch, and we'll say create. And then we want one to be 1/4 of an inch higher, so we'll have it at 7.5 and say create. And then we want it to be lower. We want one at 7, and then we want one at 6.75. So those are all 1/4 of an inch apart, and now we're going to close that, and we're going to group these guys because we need to have them as a group or they won't properly copy. So now we have them as a group, and I'm just going to move them down and center them on the vector that we have. So I want to split that right about there. So now we select our group, and then we select our vector that we're going to copy along those lines, and we're going to use the copy along vectors, and we're going to leave copy the object. We're not going to specify distances, but I am going to specify, I've already figured this out, that I need 151 copies of these 4 pegs. So I'm going to keep that align objects to curve, and I'm going to hit copy. And away we go, and it's copying those pegs all around my board. So we have all the pegs we need, and we also have one that we don't need. That original is still highlighted with the vector. We don't need either of those. So after closing this, I can just hit delete, and the things we don't want go away. So for this particular cribbage board, I want the start and end position to be at 9 o'clock. So I want the word start and I want the word finish. So I am going to delete 2 spaces here to put my word start in. And then underneath start, we need 2 rows of pegs, because that'll be the starting position for all the players. And then under that, we want the word finish. So I'm going to take out 2 more rows of these pegs. And then under finish, I want one hole to be the finish line, but I want to put a line in here like the finish line. So let's zoom in. And right now we're going to select these and we're going to ungroup them. And then I'm going to get rid of this one and this one and this one. And I'm going to center this one on the path that the vector was on before. So right there, that will be the finishing position. And so I want to draw a line where these holes are. So I'm going to go up and select the draw line or polygon. And I'm just going to split these circles so that my line is in the right place and kind of angled correctly. And then I'm going to delete the circles underneath it. So right up here I need the word start, so we're going to say text. And the font that I'm going to use is going to be Articulate, and we want that to be roughly 1/4 of an inch. Let's see how that works. And I want to capitalize the word start, and we'll see what that looks like. So we're going to take that and we're going to move this over, and I'm going to use the arrow keys and get that in the middle. And I'm going to stretch it out just a little bit. Okay, something like that. Yeah, I like that. And now we're going to do the word finish. I'm going to apply that. And we're going to move finish. Oops, you have to close that again. We're going to move finish down here. And this time we're going to angle it a little bit, because it would look a little bit funny if it was still completely horizontal. So we're going to give it just a couple of degree angle here. Just about the same as yeah, kind of like that. So now I like to put a line after every 5 holes so that it makes it easier to count when you're actually playing. So what I need to do then is to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th one, draw a line like I did before and split these circles and then delete them. And so I have to do that 24 times around the board. So I'm going to pause this video and come back when I'm done. Okay, I'm back, and I have drawn a line every 6th hole and deleted those peg holes. I'm pretty satisfied with what I see here. I do think my start and finish are a little bit improperly placed, so I'm going to adjust those a little bit. I think they're a little bit too big, and it's going to be a V-bit cut, so I'm not really that concerned about the depth, or I just think it might look better the same size as the width of the pegs. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to shrink it down a little bit. Just about like that. Now the height of this one is 197. And the height of this one is a little bit too big. So we're going to go back to the 197 so that they're both the same size. Now we just have to rotate it again. A little bit less than that. And then we'll just move it up. Split the difference. Okay, I think that will look just a lot better, and I like it. Okay, now we want to do an inner profile. So I'm going to offset that ellipse again, and I'm going to go to offset and make this about 1.4 maybe? No, I think I'm going to Control Z and we're going to go 1.5, just a little bit more there. That looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to take that. All right, now this is where you can get creative. You can put anything in the middle of this board. You can put images, you can put children's names, you can put people's names and anniversary dates. It depends on the occasion you're creating it for. But what I found a place where you can get your family crest, and my last name is Wegner, so I decided that I'd like to see a family crest or a coat of arms on my cribbage board. So I got the image that I wanted, and I'm going to go ahead and load that now. There is my coat of arms. So I'm going to resize it for my board. Right there might be pretty good. I can always adjust it after I get the vectors. So now we're going to trace the bitmap, and we're going to do colors, and we're going to trace the red and the yellow and both greens and the blue and the white, and we'll see what that looks like. And I'll take out some of the smaller detail that's just noise, but that might look pretty good. So I'm going to pause for a minute. So it's time to start making tool paths. So we're going to go to a side-by-side view and go over into the tool paths. Now we'll check the setup. The thickness is 1 inch. The center is correct. And everything else here looks good. So we're going to say OK. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to carve with a V-bit that center part. So we're going to select all of that. So we're going to select all that, and we're going to group it again. So we'll go back and we'll just group that as a total group. And we can now say we want to do a V-bit carving. And I'm going to use a 60-degree V-bit. I don't think so. Let's do a 30. So we'll use a 30-degree 1/8 inch shank V-bit. And we're going to go to a flat depth of 1/32. So we want 1 divided by 32 equals, oh, that's where it was. So that's our flat depth, and we're going to use a 30-degree V-bit, and we're going to select a 1/8 end mill to do some of the cleaning for us. We're going to raster, and we're going to raster at 90 degrees off of that so that it is cutting with the grain. And let's see what that looks like. So we're going to preview that tool path. There's the pocket, and then preview the rest, and that actually looks pretty good. I wonder how long that took. It's going to take 52 minutes to do that. So now we're going to move this to a different layer. We're going to say move this to layer 2. And then we're going to turn off layer 2 and reset the view. Now we want to select everything here and then get rid of the profiles, get rid of the words, and get rid of the lines. Okay, so all we have are drilling holes, and we're going to group these together so we can do them all at the same time. And we're going to create a drilling path, tool path, and we're going to drill these 3/8 of an inch deep with a 1/8 inch drill. We're going to dwell at the bottom of each drill for about 1/10 of a second, and we're going to calculate that, and we're going to preview that. And that looks pretty good. That's the drill path. I'll rename these paths later when I export the G-code. So we're going to move the holes over to layer 2. And now all we have left is the start and finish. So we're going to select all and take off the profile and take off this and take off this, and we're going to do, now these are open vectors, so the only way we can cut those is to do a profile tool path, and we're going to do that with a 30-degree V-bit. The cut depth is going to be 1/32, so it's 1 divided by 32, and we're going to use a V-bit 30-degree, and the rest of that looks good, so we're going to calculate that and preview that. And so now we have our lines. And you know what? I think I'm going to go back, and in this tool path, we'll turn on the layer again. I'm going to add the start and finish to that tool path and recalculate it just to take care of that. So now we have the start and finish in that tool path as well. So I think we're gonna put another little offset in just for decoration. We're gonna offset that inward just enough to get an end mill in there, maybe an 1/8 plus, so we're gonna go 0.13. Okay, and we're gonna call this the oval path, and so we're going to pocket that with a 1/8 inch end mill. We're going to cut that 1/32 deep, and we're going to use a 1/8 end mill, and that looks good. We'll calculate that and preview that. Yes, I'm starting to really like the look of this. And then the last tool path would be the cutout. So this one will also be a profile. We're going to cut it all the way through, 1 inch. And we're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill that does 1/8 of an inch per pass. So it's 8 passes. We're going to cut on the outside of the line. We're not going to need a separate path, but we are going to need tabs. So we're going to edit these tabs, and since we're going to be really close on the edges, the only place really to put tabs is on these curves. So we'll have about 8 tabs to hold the piece in place. And then we can calculate and preview the toolpath. And there we have our pretty much finished cribbage board. So when we cut it out, we'll export this G code, and we'll have it in our other software that we actually do the carving with. So we're going to call this the pocket. The image pocket. And then this is going to be renamed the image. And then of course this is the drilling step. We can just leave that drill 1. Profile is actually for the lines. And then this is actually the oval. And then this one we'll call the cutout. So all we have to do is export this, cut it, and I'll be back to video the cutting of this, and then we'll paint it and finish it and be done. So I hope you stick with me to the end. So I have set the XY position in the center of the board. I've already done the Z probe. Now it's going to drill. I'm doing the drilling operation since the drilling bit was already in. I didn't have to change it. But there's like 480 or 90 holes to be drilled. And the toolpath operation, the toolpath calculator says it's going to do it in 11 minutes. And that would mean one hole every like 1.25 seconds. I don't know if it can do that, but right now it is 17 minutes to 3, and we're going to start it up and see how long it takes. So it is now 3:13, so 3:16, sorry. So it is 17 and 16 is 33 minutes. The software estimated 11 minutes, so it's exactly 3 times longer than the software calculated. Now the good thing about Aspire is in the toolpaths where it calculates how long it's going to take, there's a scaling factor that you can put in your own scale, so you can say plus 200% or whatever, and that way you can help the software dial in to exactly how long things are going to take. So right now that was 3 times longer, but we're going to move on to the next toolpath. We're going to put a 20-degree V-bit in and start the image and the words. So I'll be back when we've got that done. Okay, so I changed my mind. We're going to put the lines in between all of the groups of 5 because it's the same bit. It's a 20-degree V bit as the bit we're going to use to do the image and the words. So we'll get started with that one. So that one didn't take long at all. So we'll start the image tool path, which will also put the words start and finish into the carving. Now we don't have to redo the home position because we didn't touch the bit at all. So we do have to redo the Z position. And so now we'll start the image. I will probably stop the video in a little bit and put the dust collection on and do the bulk of it and then come back at the end before it's finished. Well, for the most part, it doesn't look so bad, but there are areas where it chipped. So hopefully, what I was going to do was paint it all black and sand it off, and just the high spots would be the color of the wood and stained. But it looks like now we're going to have to paint the actual colors of the family crest just to make it look right. So anyway, that's that tool path, and now all we have left is the oval, the inner line along here, and that's done with a 1/8 end mill, and then we'll cut it out. So I'll be back for that. Okay, so we'll cut the inner oval, probably make a mess. Okay, so I'll change the bit and we'll cut that out, and I'll probably have to use dust collection because the cutout makes so much chips and dust that I don't want it all over the place. So we'll deal with that when the time comes. Okay, we're ready to go with the cutout, but I am going to use dust collection this time, and I'll film some of it, but you won't be able to see most of it. even with the dust collection, it makes quite a bit of dust. So we'll vacuum it off and take it out of the clamps and see where we end up. So all we have to do is cut the tabs, sand the edges, brush out the recesses without chipping any more than's already chipped, and we'll see where we end up. I'll be back. Well, I didn't take any video of the actual painting of the board, but the board is pretty much finished. I have a little polishing to do, but the painting really brought out all of the carving. There are 3 coats of semi-gloss polyurethane, so I think it turned out quite nice. The keyhole cut that I made in the back, which I also didn't video, will allow us to hang this on the wall when we're not actually playing. But I'm looking forward to many, many hours of enjoyment playing cribbage on my CNC made cribbage board. So thank you all for watching. Come on back, we're going to do a lot more projects. Thank you for the subscriptions and all the nice comments. So come back to my shop next time and we'll do something else. You all take care.